Hey folks, hey, coming to you live on Saturday, the whateverth of September 2025, somewhere near the middle of the month or so, from northern Israel, and here to talk to you about the fact that Bitcoin is dead. Long live Bitcoin. Of course, I'm joking when I say Bitcoin is dead. Bitcoin is the farthest thing from dead that it has ever been. Bitcoin is actually thriving and doing remarkably well. Don't tell me, oh, it dropped 2% in price since the rise of yesterday. Don't be ridiculous. Talking about a digital asset that was worth exactly $0.00 precisely 16 years ago. And we were mining it at 50 Bitcoins per block on our regular desktop and laptop computers. And in that time, it has gone all the way to more than six figures in value. Slowly but surely. Not so slowly all the time, but surely. And don't tell me you're not surely. And also don't tell me this is not a good time to quit coffee or sniffing super glue. We know from the statistics, we know from the growth of the returns over the years, that basically Bitcoin has outpaced every other asset on the market in history in terms of generating revenues and returns. For example, we know that Bitcoin has returned more than 20 billion percent returns for long-term holders who held from the beginning. And yes, there are some, not just Satoshi and not just Hal Finney. There are people who have Bitcoins from when they were $0 and still hold on to them. And yes, they still have wallets with 50 or 100 or 200 or 1,000 Bitcoins in them. You have to remember, back in 2009, in the earliest days, we didn't keep our Bitcoins on cold wallets with fancy, hardware devices separately. It was on your computer in the Bitcoin wallet. And yeah, you could write down some things, but unless you literally had your code written down somewhere safe, or backed up on a secondary hard drive, there was a very high probability that your computer was where your Bitcoins were, because after all, if you lost 1,000 of them, it was worth zero at the time. So you could replace them for basically nothing. The time it took to mine them, sure, that's not free. The electricity it took to mine them, that's also not free. Right, so they actually cost you more than they were worth because you couldn't trade them in the earliest days of 2009. I mean, yeah, we were trading them, but like 5,000, 10,000 Bitcoins for a little content post or a small computer fan, just because the recipient was eager to have some Bitcoins. Sure. And that is, anybody who has held on to those early day Bitcoins is holding on to fortunes. And good for them, as they should be. Should be rewarded for holding on with conviction and patience to something that inevitably, had the history that it had. Well, inevitably, something that did have the history that it had to date, and which has delivered stunning returns to long-term holders. Just remember, it was only a few years ago around this time, literally, when Bitcoin was plummeting, and then there was this whole scandal with FTX, and everybody blamed the Bitcoin price, dropping down hard on that, even though it was clearly the volatility that was indicating prices going to the downside. Obviously, the FTX story put panic in the minds of retail traders, many of whom just jumped on the bandwagon. Now remember, if the FTX story had happened at a time when the volatility was expanding and the correlation was going to the upside and the price had gone up, you know what the FTX story would have said, right? People ditching FTX, buying Bitcoin to shore up crypto and get rid of the fiat scam, which was FTX. It was a fiat scam. Yes, it was a crypto exchange, but the scam they conducted was a fiat scam. Because the price went down on Bitcoin and altcoins, so they of course said, oh, it's a crypto scam. No, it wasn't a crypto scam at all. It was a classic fiat currency scam. 100%. It's not even a question. And we've seen it time and time again, and that was one of the many times that Bitcoin was declared dead, which is why I made this video, by the way. Hello there to you saying hi. I see you when I say hi back. Like, Bitcoin has been declared dead many thousands of times, more times than there are days since Bitcoin's inception. Okay, like, it is grotesque how often people have said crypto is dead, Bitcoin is dead. It's grotesque. Why is it grotesque? Because it literally has been around about 16 years, and there have been tens of thousands, if not more, articles at this point. There used to be a website that would track all the kind of famous times that it was found, perceived to be dead or announced to be dead by some large media outlet or even small media outlets. I don't even know if that site exists anymore, because frankly, there's so many times people have said it's dead that you'd need, like, a pretty significant scraper at this point just to keep it updated, right? It's you need to keep that going 24/7 just to find the articles. Practically every day you can find a number of articles that say that effectively. And what Bitcoin has demonstrated is it's just a math protocol. It does what it does, and people use it. And for the most part, people use it to transfer values or to hold values. And those values may be monetary, but they do not have to be. That's one of the key and most important lessons you can ever learn about Bitcoin. It is not all about the money. It's not all about the Benjamins. It's not all about the Satoshis. It is a protocol that allows you to transfer values. That's the bottom line. And it does so. It secures itself and allows you to transfer those values without a middleman. This is the most powerful thing you can know about it. Yes, it's scalable, it's portable, all this kind of stuff. You can transfer it to other people, do whatever you want with it, right? It has other things on top of it now. It's had for some years with ordinals and runes and all this stuff, but those are not necessary for Bitcoin to exist. And Bitcoin doesn't even need the internet. Theoretically and practically, it is possible to conduct Bitcoin transactions with pencil and paper, or pen and paper, or whatever, right? You don't actually need to have a computer connection, because it's a protocol that exists outside of the internet. Yes, it happens to work exceptionally well with the assistance of computers and a connected network, but those are not required. Which means that if, God forbid, there would be some electromagnetic pulse that would wipe out all the computers on the planet, if you have your hardware wallet written down, it is still possible to actually use your Bitcoins. Of course, the other argument is, well, if there's a big EMP attack that blasts all the computers on Earth, we got other problems. That is also true. And you will probably not be thinking about Bitcoin or other electronic forms of money at that time. You'll probably be thinking about how to defend yourself in a world where lead is suddenly a precious metal. May that never be the case. May you always stay safe and happy and healthy and prosperous and free, wherever you are, whoever you are. But of course, we know in this world of 8 billion people, many of us are not all of those things. Not all of us are healthy or happy or free or prosperous, or some combination of those things. Which is why it's very important to try to attain those things if possible, and then hold on to them for dear life. Because that's kind of all we have. You can't get time back. So you can get money back, and maybe, usually, not always, but you can't get time back. And that's a function of health and everything else that's related to it. So that's all I got to say about that for now. I wish you all a terrific day, and full of peace and love. And I'll get going for now. Catch up with you guys later in the next video or so. Till then, take care. Peace.